Welcome back to the next part of asteroids. And it looks like we're going to do that. Okay, so we're just going to get into it. So I had this video recorded and the video corrupted, so we're going to go through what changes we made in the video that didn't work. So if you go to your player class, we are going to add in collision detection for the asteroids to the player. So we're going to make a boolean called dead in the player class, and we are going to instantiate it to false. Then what we're going to do is in the render function, we're going to have an if dead. If this is true, we're going to make the outline of the ship red, and if it's not true, then we're going to keep the outline white. Okay, and then all I did for this check collision function is I copied it from our laser class, and I changed this one number. Changed this from like 3/5 to 4/5, and that's just to help the collision get as close as possible. Okay, so that is what we did in the player class. And so if we go over here, what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to update where we're checking for collision. So this is the line of code to check for collision, and we're going to put it in the for loop for the asteroids. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask the player if they're colliding with each asteroid as we loop through the array list of asteroids. And then if we do find one that we're colliding with, we're going to set the player .dead variable to true. And this should work. Let's see if we can get hit by an asteroid here. And there we go, we turned red. Perfect. So since we got collision detection working on the player so fast, I decided to go ahead and we are going to write a pixel class so that when you shoot the asteroids, they blow up. So you're going to open a new tab, call it pixel, and then the class is going to be pixel. And we're going to set up a variables spot. Set up our constructor. Set up an update. And set up a render. Alright, Control T, get that formatting. Alright, so what we're going to need is pretty much what we've been using the whole time for variables. So a float position X, a float position Y, a float size, a float direction, a float speed, and the new one is going to be float life, because we want these pixels to die off eventually. When we make a pixel, we're going to take in a X and a Y in our constructor, and we're going to set the position X to be equal to X and set the position Y to be equal to Y. Then we are going to set our direction to a random number between 0 and 2 pi. And then we're going to set our speed to a random speed between 0.1 and 0.5. And our life, We're going to want our life to be an integer, so I'm going to use the floor command with random so that I get an integer. I'm going to set that between 100 and 200. And then size, we are going to make a random number between 2 and 5. So there's our constructor. Now we're going to go to our update, and actually for our update, instead of making it a void return, we're going to actually make it a boolean, because it's going to return whether this is a dead pixel or a live pixel. So we're going to update our movement by doing position x times plus equals speed times cosine of direction. And then we're going to do same for sine of position y. And then we're going to subtract 1 from life, and then we're going to check if this pixel is dead. So we're going to say if life is less than or equal to 0, then we're going to return true, and else we're going to return false. Alright, and then we just have to do our render. So we're going to push and pop. And then in the middle, we are going to say if life is greater than 0, then we want to draw something. And we are going to fill this with white. But we're also going to use the life of the pixel as our alpha value. And then for the actual pixel, we're going to make a rectangle at position x, position y. And then we're going to use, it's going to be a square, so we're going to use size for both the length and the width. Alright, so there is our pixel class, all done. Now we're going to go to the main game file. And this is where I kind of already did this, so I'm just going to show you what I did. So first I made an array list of pixels, and I call it pixelList. And then I made an int list called pixelRemove. And feel free to pause this so you can get these down. I'm going to kind of go through them kind of quick. We're going to instantiate pixelList to be a new array list, and we're going to instantiate pixelRemove to be a new integer list. Then what we're going to do is we are going to this is the loop where we check for collision between a laser and an asteroid. So if we get a collision, which is what this if statement is, if a laser hits an asteroid, then we are going to loop 15 times to make 15 pixels.
Welcome back to school. As you enter the building.
Alright, I had a slight announcement. So for this loop, we're going to loop 15 times, and then we're going to add a new unnamed pixel to pixelList at the spot where the asteroid was, right before it got destroyed. And then I'm adding in this break in hopes that it breaks out of these two loops, because we really don't want to check for any more collision on these asteroids. So we'll see if this helps or if this hurts. We're having a little problem with the game breaking. So we'll see if that helps. And then what we're going to do is we are going to loop through all of the pixels on pixelList, and we are going to update. And the nice thing about that update function that we wrote is that it returns a boolean, and if the boolean is true, then we're going to know that that pixel should get removed from the screen. And so what we're doing is we're updating the pixel, and then if it's dead, we're adding it right away to the remove list that we made. And then what we need to do is we need to remove that. So we are going to loop through the remove list, and then remove pixels from that list, and then clear the remove list at the end. And then we also need to write a render loop. This is pretty much the same as it is for the lasers and the asteroids. And that is it. Let's see if this works. And there we go. Alright, looks like I got a bug to work out. Show me your code, or Mr. Lavin. Make sure you save it, and I'll see you in the next part.